Hello, welcome everyone to The Distraction, first ever podcast here on Fightful.com. Not the first ever podcast on Fightful, but the first ever Distraction podcast on Fightful. I am Jeremy Lambert, as you see on the image below if you are watching this, writer of wrestling things on Fightful, joined by the man, the slayer of wrestling features, Joe Hulbert. It's good to talk to you again, buddy.
It's good, man. It's like a long-awaited moment for like 4 to 5 people on Twitter. So they don't know it yet, but when they see this, it'll be very exciting. I say, you know.
We had a huge, monumental following with our TEW series.
Blockbuster.
That was short-lived due to a variety of issues, mainly just the tech issues that came along with it. And but it was fun. You ran WCW into the ground after 1 month, and I had a huge angle going with WWE where cocaine was going to be involved, but we never got there.
True. Lanny Poffo was on a trajectory we'll never know about, but that's another thing for another day, you know?
Lanny Poffo was about to take over the world.
He was, and he was on AEW this week, which I thought was a full circle moment for our podcast relations, you know?
So the Distraction podcast here, we are just going to basically riff on a bunch of topics. I'm going to set 5 minutes on a clock. You'll hear the timer go off in the background. And we're just going to hit some various topics that we came up with during the week. Could be news, could be something coming out of shows, could be a preview type thing. We don't know. We don't have a plan. Could be dogs barking in the background. Pentagon might come out and start cutting a promo saying we're no good. Luther might come out. Who knows with this podcast?
If Luther comes out, I'm out. All right, okay. Just know that now. That'll be the end of my time on this podcast.
Joe, that's where we're starting with, though.
Oh, great.
We're gonna start with Luther. I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the clock. Let me set this up. So last night or Wednesday night, whenever you're listening to this, on AEW Dynamite, we had Riho against Chris Statlander for the AEW Women's Championship, and in the middle of it, Brandy Rhodes comes out, distracts both ladies. Mel Awesome Kong are there, and Japanese deathmatch legend Luther appears from under the ring. Joe, I'm going to put time on the clock here. What are your thoughts on Luther?
Well, there's 2 ways to approach this topic, right? I can take the mature route and discuss its impact on the women's division, the decision to put this in a women's title match, and I'm sure we'll get to that at minutes 2, 3, 4, and 5. But for now, I just want to commend Excalibur for
Exhibit.
I truly admire that when he has to do stuff like this, he doesn't just do it. He doesn't just say it's Luther. No. He does the stutter step before he gets there, right? It's like that. Is that? That's Luther, and the idea that anyone watching the TV show was exploded out of their chair is awesome, right? That moment was I don't think AEW Dynamite's been bad by any means. I think obviously it has flaws, but that moment was like an encapsulation of every bad thing that they've done through 3 months of TV, and the timing of it, placing it in that spot, expecting people to react. I guess they did, maybe not. I don't know. It was awesome. But the commentary is what made it special. That was the bit.
The commentary was bad from the start because Brandy's just burying everything. It's people should be sleeping during this match, burying Statlander. Just the dirt worst of segments. If you don't know who Luther is, go to AEW's Twitter, because that's where they explained, this guy's a Japanese deathmatch legend. He's been in FMW. He was the best man at Chris Jericho's wedding. I guess Chris Jericho's best man wasn't, a good enough tagline for this guy, so they went with Japanese deathmatch legend.
What I love, and this was similar to the Blade and the Bunny thing, right? Where, Jim Ross just refused. He said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not. And Shivani was sort of half-hearted, and it was just great. But the phrase Japanese deathmatch legend will live in infamy, won't it? It has to, right? Again, there is a real problem at the core of this. There is a genuine problem with what you just said. Brandy Rhodes sitting on commentary, making us not care about a match we should care about is not good. And debuting a guy who you Jeremy, assume is not headed for high ceilings in AEW during an AEW women's title match is not ideal. But if you just look at it as a solitary segment, it gave us that commentary, and that's enough for me. That's more than enough, especially on this week's show. That segment is one of the only things you could pick out and say that's worth talking about, really, right? To me, it was anyway.
It wasn't a good show this week.
No.
It really wasn't. I mean, and this highlighted basically everything bad from, as you said, from the past few weeks. It was the worst segment they've done thus far, but we got some, the crowd. We got some good memes out of it.
Exactly, and that's what matters, right? None of it's actually good, so we might as well make it bad enough that we enjoy it. It's always been my take.
I much prefer just like so bad it's funny than just so bad that I don't even care about it.
Yes, like for example, the thing with Puck going after Kenny's friend.
Yeah.
That is like just bad wrestling writing where like there's like holes and no one quite knows when that happened and when this happened. That's bad, but it's not funny bad. Now, Luther, Japanese Deathmatch legend, actually good. See? It's two different things.
I googled Luther, Japanese Deathmatch legend, and got like Otani and just Big Japan wrestling and stuff. Even Google didn't know who this guy was. So
seriously, like what percentage did know who Luther was? Like, are we talking like 0.0001? Like it's got to be that level, right?
It's got to be, yeah, that level.
I consider myself to be relatively knowledgeable. This was way lost on me. I had no idea who they're talking about.
He goes by Dr. Luther. They didn't even put the doctor. I guess because Britt Baker's a doctor. Like, we can't have too many doctors around here.
The hilarious part is my first like insight into any of this is your message. AEW finished at 3 o'clock in the morning here, so I wasn't watching it live, and I just woke up to a message saying Luther. I had no idea what you were talking about, and then I typed it in, and it was there. Now it was a whole can of worms. But yes,
we were trying to come up with topics and before Dynamite and NXT, and we were like, something will come out of these shows that we'll have to talk about. And yeah, I just messaged you Luther. Like that's what we have to talk about.
You were right. I agree with you, but it caught me slightly off guard. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you can't disrespect the Japanese deathmatch. Do you think Luther wrestles?
What, like in the oncoming weeks? Is he getting involved?
Yeah. Is he going to have like a match at Revolution? Like they're talking about doing intergender matches. You can do.
I mean, everyone wrestles on Dark, so like I'm sure we'll get like a 25-minute Kenny Omega street fight. You know, that goes on after.
You can't introduce this guy as Japanese deathmatch legend and then not put him in the ring with like Moxley.
Oh, wow. That'd be incredible.
Time is up. Could you hear the timer?
I could, yes.
Okay.
Just off your Moxley suggestion, unfortunately.
I was making sure the timer was coming through here. All right, the next topic, another very important topic. We're going to stick with Dynamite because we said there was nothing else to come out of this show. But there was one thing that we wanted to talk about. Diamond Dallas Page returning to the ring. He did a promo segment with MJF, and afterwards it was announced that MJF, the Blade, and the Butcher are going to team up to take on... I see the smirk on your face already. It's going to take on Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, Diamond Dallas Page next week at AE Dynamite, Bash at the Beach. 5 minutes on the clock, Joe. What do you think of DDP returning?
This is so strange in so many ways. Like, the headline itself... Okay, remove all context. DDP set to return to wrestle a match on AEW Dynamite is a weird thing, okay, in itself. Let's be honest, that's weird. Then you do what you just did and read out the match that he's returning in, and it gets insane. Why is this happening? What is this leading to? Is this like an MJF match coming down the road? Or what? Where are we at here? Jeremy, you need to explain this to me. I genuinely have no... You have to understand, okay, I missed all of Dynamite. Until 1 week, I caught up on like 10 weeks of it. So some of my timeline is off. I am aware that DDP has been around sometimes. When did we get to the point where he can just come out randomly during MJF promos and insert himself into programs?
He's part of the Nightmare family.
Okay.
DDP, I mean, he was alongside Cody and MJF when Cody was feuding with the Inner Circle. They did that big brawl up in the concession stands and stuff.
This is true.
DDP was there, and then he presented the ring to MJF when he did that terrible Crossroads on Hangman Page.
I remember this, yes, but why is Dustin Rhodes not teaming with DDP, or is he?
Yeah, he's Dustin.
Cody?
Cody left the building after.
Why is he not involved in this, Jeremy? Why is QT Marshall involved in this?
So I wrote in the power rankings with the
Yes.
exclusive scoops, which aren't really scoops at all, that Cody just left the building after his match with the Lucha Bros because he was just so upset with how that match came off and with how the Nightmare Collective segment came off. So he was pissed. He left. That's my inside scoop. Please
Okay.
don't. Ringside News is going to report that and be like, Fightful contributor says that Cody was pissed off. This is not a real thing. But Jim Ross actually said, like, oh yeah, Cody and Dustin left the building, and then Dustin came out to save TDP. So no one knows.
What do we actually think the end game is here? Like, I know, like, I'm doing this like trying to be silly. I have immense respect for the fact that DDP looks that good at that age. He looks better than me, and he's legitimately about 4 decades older than me. But I just would like to have some kind of insight, because you are the scoops when it comes to the AEW Power Rankings. Like, where do you see this result in? What is this going to result in? What's the end game?
I think it's just this 6-man match. I don't think they're going to do anything more. He laid out the Butcher and the Blade with a diamond cutter. Those guys look like dorks. So.
Yeah, but that's kind of, I mean, look, let's be fair. Let's be totally fair. I know that everyone dunks on that and like, oh, putting over young talent and all that. But let's be real. That's what, like, that act is there for, I assume, right? Like, they come out, they look kind of mean, and then they get beat up, and everyone somewhat cheers. I'm happy for DDP. I just find it weird that, like, you're going to waste his comeback match and that sell on a 6-man against a team that involves 2 pieces that aren't over in any way, and he's teaming with QT Mark. It's weird. It's strange, Jeremy. That's what I'm saying. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying it's strange.
Dustin Rhodes is the best worker in that match, by far.
Why are you hating on Blade and Blade and the other fellow? Blade.
The other fellow? You don't know
Blade.
who he is?
I struggle. I told you, man. I caught up on AEW a lot went through, and all I heard about was this infamous segment where the Blade and the Bunny appeared. And when I got to it, I understood.
Butcher. It's the Butcher.
The Butcher.
Joe.
That's the Butcher. Yes, that's it. Yes, the Butcher. Okay, it's fine, right? Is it going to main event next week? Do you think? Honestly.
No, there's no way that's me. If that main event's, something has gone horribly wrong.
But it's DDP, right? It's a big deal in some form or fashion, isn't it? Or is it not?
Bash at the Beach in January.
True.
No one's going to the beach in January. I think because they're doing the Bash at the Beach gimmick next week, they just wanted, like, a WCW wrestler who they could associate with that. And Dustin wasn't really around when Bash at the Beach was, Bash at the Beach. So they're like, oh, we can get DDP for it.
Yeah, when you put it like that, now I'm starting to come around to the idea. But it's when you lay out the whole match, I am less keen. Like, you could have done. I guess they don't want MJF and Cody to touch, do they? I guess is the idea. No. Okay, well, fair. Well, just have fun with it. I don't know. There's someone out there that watches on TNT every week that is very happy, I feel. That didn't watch wrestling from 2001 to 2019, and they're pumped right now.
They're gonna bring in Rodman and Malone. That was Bash at the Beach, or not? Yeah, Rodman and Malone. That was Bash.
They should 100% try to do like the modern equivalent in some way.
I think the modern equivalent would be Ben Simmons and Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, because I was going to say you couldn't get Embiid because that medical would not. That's not happening.
Sixers aren't cleared Embiid.
No way.
Did you see his fractured finger?
Yes.
God, that didn't look good.
Exactly my point. Not getting in any wrestling ring anytime soon.
All right, let's move on to New Japan. They had their big Wrestle Kingdom, 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom this past weekend, and Tetsuya Naito won the IWGP Intercontinental and Heavyweight Championships, but the big closing angle was KENTA laying out Naito. We're going to put 5 minutes on the clock. Joe, KENTA, did you like the final segment with him laying out Naito, or not a fan of it?
This is super tough, right? Because on principle, this is very bad. But I'm kind of all for it, because if the match at Osaka Joe is going to be KENTA and Naito, if that's the match and that's what you've decided on that match, doing a beatdown at New Year's Dash is nowhere near as impactful as what they did here. This was bold. If nothing else, this was bold, right? Is it kind of like everything we've criticised WWE for sometimes? Yeah, sure, but it's an angle you won't forget. It's an angle that got him immense heat. And the cool thing about it is it kind of continues Naito's story of like every time he gets there, someone takes something away from him, right? Like he couldn't just go out as the hero; he had to get beaten up first. I'm for it, Jeremy. I've seen a lot of criticism. I'm for it.
I liked it because of the heat that it generated. Like if it was just a stunned silence type of thing, it would have been a complete misfire. But the crowd hated Kenta out of this, and you made him into an even bigger heel. And I feel like because they couldn't do the Shibata match, which they clearly were trying to somehow pull off, but they couldn't get it cleared, this was almost a make good to try to keep building off of that heat that Kenta had.
And one thing I will say, I don't know what the perception is of like the English commentary on New Japan. I understand it probably like splits people. They did a tremendous job on that angle, right? Like, what I loved about it was Okada showed his respect, and like Rocky Romero and everyone was like, okay, now we celebrate Naito. You know, he's not perfect, Jeremy, but tonight he did it. And Kenta comes in, and Rocky Romero was enraged. Kevin Kelly was going good. It was just, I thought it was great. The interesting part of the debate is like, and this shows you how high that promotion standards are in ring. He's like, am I the only one that's like somewhat, not concerned, but hesitant to bank on Naito and Kenta being like what we want it to be? Because I could see it pace-wise, like not being what it should be considering the heat. That's just me. I don't know about you.
Kenta's whole gimmick, like the whole storyline is like, watch this dude get knocked out. Like they keep talking about his glass jaw and stuff. It's like, okay, can Naito give Kenta a concussion in this match? Naito looked good in both of his Wrestle Kingdom matches.
Yes.
Kenta and Goto was great. I'm sure the match will be fine. The heat will be.
I guess what I'm saying is like, look, obviously it's not going to be a bad match, right? Like we get that, but sometimes with Naito, when he's had main event matches, like that opening portion isn't where you'd like it to be. And when you have a feud like this, which is all heat and it's like hatred, I seriously hope we don't get like. So like steady start Naito, he's like messing around. I hope it's a change of pace because, you know, for all of the great matches we've seen in New Japan, we've become used to now their main event matches. Like we're going to get 15 minutes of just like laying the foundations, right? I'm not sure this is the match for that. I really don't think it is. I think this is a match for violence, like what Goto and Kenta was at Wrestle Kingdom. To be honest, that's the way I see it.
I would love if they changed the pace with this main event, because that was a complaint I always had with the Okada main events. It's like, all right, it's going to be 10, 15 minutes of the usual stuff. It'll pick up. It's going to go between 35, 40 minutes. It'll be great at the end, but it's the same kind of match. And I wish they changed that pace when he wrestled Sonata late in the year, and they did it. They just did the usual match. I hope they do a change of pace in this match.
I mean, even I thought the Ibushi match was like spectacular, like one of the best matches I've seen in some time. But even that match, within the logic of if this was a real thing, right? Like I question why Ibushi would wrestle that match at such a slow pace. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even that match, like the first 20 minutes of that match, I'm kind of like doing the thing I do in every Okada match, which is like I'm not sure about this one, and then 20 minutes later you're jumping up and down and it's crazy. I think there's a compliment in that, but there's also like a very small, faint criticism of sometimes I think the opening portions of his matches could mean more later. The work that's actually done there could mean more later, but he's so good in the end that you can't argue with it. In this case, now that he's out of that main event match, it'll be interesting if they just totally rip up the format. I think that'd be perfect for what they're trying to achieve here.
Naito doesn't have time to screw around like Okada. He's older. He's more banged up. He doesn't even take his shirt off for these Road 2 shows anymore. Like, he doesn't have time for this nonsense.
That's respectable, man. I admire that greatly, you know?
I like that even at New Year Dash, he didn't take his shirt off. He's like, I'm the champion, but whatever. I'm still...
you know what I love most? I know you live tweeting New Year's Dash. I love that, like, we've convinced this whole audience that changes into New Year's Dash that it's like Raw after WrestleMania, and it's just going to be crazy angles and stuff. I think that is tremendous.
Yeah.
There's like one angle, like, and people are like, this was boring. It's like, no, that's just what it is, folks. I'm sorry.
They set up a lot, but yeah. People have come to expect the big, like, Bullet Club kick-out stuff.
It was like, I thought it was a really good show, and I went on social media and everyone was like, could have done with 12 more heel turns, you know?
You mentioned Kenta the angle being kind of WWE-ish, and I'm going to throw out a comparison that's going to piss people off, and that's pretty much the only reason I'm doing it.
Okay.
Naito winning and then Kenta taking his moment was akin to Roman Reigns winning and Sheamus cashing in on him.
I feel, to be honest with you, Jeremy, I mean, that's one of the most disrespectful things I've ever heard in many ways, but there may be some truth in it. To be totally honest, I feel like you just referenced something from 4 years ago, which is disrespectful to me to begin with, to be honest with you. But yeah, sure, man. I'm with it. Yeah, cool.
I don't think it is. I just wanted to throw it out there just to get.
When was that, genuinely? Like, that was a long time ago, right?
2016 Survivor Series?
It genuinely could be older than Fightful.com itself.
Yeah, it was 2014, 2016. My memory is terrible. Too many chair shots to the head, but it's somewhere around there.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
We're going to stick with New Japan, and really the biggest story coming out of New Japan.
Oh, yes.
Okada shorts.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good-looking man. Why was he not wearing shorts this entire time?
I'm interested as to how many people listening to this show now are pretending to themselves that they didn't notice. That's what I'm interested in, Jeremy. Like, are we going to get tweets like, man, I didn't even realise the shorts. And you're like, come on, man. We all know.
How do you not know? Like, this
is what I said, Jeremy. This is what I say. But this is what I'm telling you. We're going to get some tweets, okay? We're going to get some tweets.
He had the shorts last year, and there's that great GIF that people I don't even know what it's from, where people are like reacting big. I think it's from some soccer match, and they do the Okada shorts reveal, and then this year the shorts were even shorter, and like during the match with Ibushi, it was a great match, but all I could think about was like, man, this is a good looking guy in these shorts. I think they made a mistake. They made a mistake taking the belt off of Okada simply because he should have both of the belts with these shorts.
I'm not against your theory. I'm really not. But you have to remember the decision was probably made before they saw the shorts. So
that shows their incompetence of knowing how to book on the fly.
Wow, this is now getting out of control. You want Gedo changing finishes on the fly at Tokyo Dome. Kenta being held back from running out. Maybe. Here's a genuine Okada talking point, okay? Because as much as I love talking about the short stream, we've already done it for 2 hours off air, okay? Where do you stand on this, like, this absolute chaos that was caused by Mr. Meltzer, a peer of ours as a wrestling broadcast journalist, saying that Okada is above, I believe he named Flair, Michaels, and one other. I think he said Rock. Are you, like, enraged? Or are you like me and just, yeah, sure?
I'm not enraged by many opinions, to be honest. Like,
that seems fair, but why are you in the minority?
I don't, because I don't know. Like, a lot of therapy, I guess.
I saw this, like, being discussed. And I don't want to make this show a thing about what people talk about on wrestling Twitter, because, let's be honest, that'd be just terrible. Everything's bad on there. But, like, people were talking about this with disgust. And I was just thinking, I mean, it depends how you talk about these things, right? Because on match catalogue and resume, I feel like it's not even like a debate. Okada is better than them now, right? Like, that's just the way it is. If you want to talk about skill and stuff, I guess then you get into a whole different kind of, off-the-wall conversation. But there's a weird thing, there's recency bias, and then there's the opposite of that, right? Where if something's happening now, we can't at all say it's better than anything that happened before. We just can't do it, we're not allowed. That seems silly on both ends to me.
It's a lot of factors. The business has changed so much as
well.
Wow. Like,
first episode, we've already got the business has changed. Wow, I'm with you, carry on.
I mean, if Shawn Michaels wrestled today and Shawn Michaels had, the no restrictions that, like, New Japan has.
Exactly,
he would be just as amazing as Okada. So it's just a different style in New Japan and WWE. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Okada's obviously done great things with New Japan. If someone wants to call him the GOAT, like, that's fine. I don't
do it. Yeah.
Get offended by this stuff. Like, I'm very it's not an outrageous opinion to me. No. We will both say worse things on this show. We've already said worse things. Yeah, I just said Kenta attacking Naito is Sheamus and Roman.
Exactly, yes, exactly. But what I will say is, when we're talking about that fictional list that no one will ever make, the shorts do play a pivotal factor in that, Jeremy. Would you not agree?
Oh, so you've got like Okada shorts. I mean, Shawn Michaels' theme music. The man sung his own theme music. That's pretty big. The Rock. I mean, The Rock was wearing short shorts as well. Flair. I don't know. Flair is a weird.
I don't know.
I don't know about Flair.
Okay. Well, we see. I understand what you're saying, but I felt that saving this for the Tokyo Dome made it more monumental. You know?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, dude.
Shawn Michaels always had that theme, Jeremy. He always had it.
But the first time he came out with it, and Sherry was doing it and everything, like that was a big moment. Okada's going to always have. See, this is recency bias as well. Okada's going to have these shorts from now on, and so
is he? You don't know that. You do not know that, Jeremy.
Like, if he had them at New Year's Dash, he's going to have them just moving.
Wait for Fantasticomania before you give some bold statements, please.
Okada's going to be like Naito. He's going back to the pants for Fantasticomania.
Yes,
he's like, forget
so.
it.
I hope so.
And breaking out the shorts for this. Let's move on to WWE. We had a couple big things, but we're going to start with SmackDown last week, which was SmackDown, always one of the best shows of the week. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think it's tough to disagree. If people are listening to this, they can't see your face and the disdain that you have for that comment.
We'll get into it. Yeah,
we had returns: John Morrison, Sheamus, and the Usos on the show. Joe, where are you at on these 4 returns?
Where am I? I'm positive on all of them. I don't know where I don't want to be mean about the John Morrison thing. I've never been a John Morrison / whatever other name guy, which is not for me.
Johnny SmackDown is what he's going to go by now.
That works, but I don't know where, when this was spoken about that he'd re-signed, there was suddenly just like a legion of fans that emerged from the dust that was all very excited about this. I was confused. I didn't know where they came from. But God bless him. I'm just cool to see him back. Him and Mizzy's a fun thing to do. That's my least, exciting one to me. Sheamus, to be quite honest, on that show is actually, a necessary add. They're so weak on the hillside, I feel. As has probably been highlighted by what Roman's been doing for the last 3 months. So that's a positive step. I think him and Chad Gable will be good. The Usos is the big one to me, right? I think we were just talking about recency bias and stuff. I can't imagine that when it's all said and done, the Usos aren't put in top 3 level as a WWE tag team, right? I feel that's happening now.
Yeah.
They're an all-time team, man. They're an amazing team. They always find a way, no matter what brand they've been on and how bad stuff is, excluding a couple not so good angles. They always find a way to do good stuff. And I remember we talk about SmackDown being bad. SmackDown wasn't good when them and New Day were doing their lengthy program, but that program was great, right? The rest of that show wasn't very good. We had Jinder and all that stuff, but Usos are great. It's great to have them back. What about you? What's your most exciting of the SmackDown returns?
Usos and New Day Hell in a Cell is one of my favorite matches.
Yeah,
in
great match.
Memory. I'm high on the Usos as well because you look at that tag team division, and the problem is I don't have any faith in them doing anything with the tag team division. But you've got New Day, you've got the Usos back, Revival, Heavy Machinery, they're getting over, potentially Miz and Morrison as well, potentially Gable and Ali. I don't know if that
and
is
you've got Rude coming back as well for Rude and Ziggler.
Sure.
Yeah. Don't forget, Jeremy. Listen, I don't want conflict about Bobby Roode. Carry on.
But yeah, I like the Usos. As you said, they're great in just about everything they do.
Yes.
So if they can put some stock into this tag team division and really build it up, they've got the teams there to make it not only entertaining with promos and stuff, but in ring wise, these are some really good tag teams in ring as well. Sheamus, yeah, they need heels. The fact that Dolph Ziggler and the great Bobby Roode, I will not besmirch his name.
Jeremy. Thank you.
In your presence. The fact that those are the 2 of your top 3 heels, not the best look in the world. Sheamus comes in, immediately kicks off the feud with Gable. That'll be fine. Morrison, the whole thing with him was, it was reported he got signed in September, And then he denied it, and so they were cold on it. And then in November, on the WWE Backstage show, they said it again, like, oh yeah, Morrison has been signed. And then people are just like, wait, you didn't like keep him as a surprise entry or anything? And then he just shows up, he's hanging out in the Miz's locker room, and it's like, oh, okay. I haven't been like a huge John Morrison fan either. His Impact run was good. I think he's kind of underrated because nobody watches Impact, including you.
I saw that run, Jeremy.
Did you?
Saw that run. I watched everything Impact up until the Austin Aries closing angle. And for me, at that point, it was time to say goodbye. You know what I mean? Like, it was enough. I think he was fine. I didn't think he was great there, to be honest. But I'm with you. It was a fine run, yeah.
So, the Lucha Underground stuff was good, but I've come to realize that Lucha Underground was very good at highlighting strengths and hiding weaknesses, because you look at a lot of guys who are big in Lucha Underground on other promotions, and it's like, this is not the same guy at all. Yeah, the returns, the Usos is the big one. I'm looking forward to that. SmackDown needed something. It's
Badly.
A lifeless show.
But the thing, I mean, I don't want to make this all about us, Jeremy. I know we're very good, but I remember, this is genuinely true, okay? There were times, like a few weeks ago, where I was watching it thinking, they are like padding this show out by making matches longer. Like, it reminded me of booking 1995 WCW with you. I'm being as sincere as possible here. There were times where I would look at that screen you were showing me, or I was supposed to be seeing, okay? And I would think, just make one of them matches longer and let's get it over with, man. Just send them out there. And I was watching a SmackDown, and there was a cold tag match going on and on and on. I was thinking, it feels like they're like phoning it in, which is the opposite of what you'd expect, right? It's weird.
It hasn't, like, the first couple of weeks on Fox felt like a big deal, and then it just
opposite, yeah.
It's just SmackDown on Fridays, and it happens to be on Fox. It feels the exact same as it did before it moved to Fox.
Yeah. Which is bad, because the whole stuff before Fox was, eventually we're going to end up on Fox.
Yeah.
And it will be great. That's the problem.
Yeah. Another big return from this past week, The Big Show. The Big Show is back, revealed as the third man for Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. Are you happy to see The Big Show back in now his like third decade in wrestling?
Yes. That's my answer, Jeremy. Yes. I'm most excited for a fist fight.
I can't wait for this fist fight.
You know, Big Show is so unique in such a strange case, because, like, genuine legend, obviously at his prime, a legitimately great talent, like a special talent. But, like, you can go through his career year by year and you'll end up with like 3 good years, and it's not his fault. I'm not blaming him. He's just had such a strange career, right? Like, it's amazing how many times he's been put in a role where people have gone, oh no, that's incredible. That's a skill in itself. However, it's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with it. I like the idea that Samoa Joe was like waiting on this like Big Show return at some point. He had it up his sleeve. That whole dynamic on Raw, I think, is like one of the best things they have right now. Like the Joe Owens thing.
Yeah.
And I think Big Show will not hurt that at all. Big Show's good in like the traditional WWE backstage segment where everyone sort of half looks at the camera. Very good at them. Very experienced at them. I think it'll have a fun dynamic until he goes away again. Like, I don't think he's going to be here for a long time, exactly. I don't think they're setting him up for a Mania run, you know. But it's fine. What about you? I'm sure you was very excited.
I think it's actually Big Show's 4th decade, which is just outrageous. I didn't mind it. It was a surprise. I was expecting like Ricochet and
exactly. So in that case, awesome.
Yeah. Cedric Alexander, whatever happened to that guy? Yeah. I think people suggested Aleister Black, and I think that would have been a good idea. But he's got the trilogy with Big Match Buddy, even though he's already won twice. I have no problem with the Big Show. He's good in almost any kind of role. Like, he can play like the serious kind of just giant who destroys
that's why
people.
He's legitimately great, right?
Yeah, he can play like a comedy role. Like, he's a very diverse performer in that regard. That's
been the biggest pro of his career and the biggest con all at once, right? Like, being versatile was hurting.
Yeah, because
it means they can put him in terrible stuff and he'll be fine at it. That's the truth. And God bless him.
They can turn him face, turn him heel.
Exactly, and he'll do it fine. Yeah. He'll do it fine. One thing is interesting, we started this show, or second topic on the show, was the DDP thing. How incredible was today's Twitter.com false equivalence of DDP being used by AEW, Big Show being used by WWE. I have to say this, Jeremy, for the sake of our audience. The reason these things aren't the same, if you are against Big Show, is probably due to the fact that, legitimately at this point, I believe WWE employs about 200 wrestlers. Okay? Well, for better or worse, DDP is a top 10 star on the AEW show. Is this true or not? Am I wrong here? Am I missing something? This is the reality, dude. This is the way it is, okay?
He ran down his resume on Dynamite, and he's got bigger accolades than pretty much everybody else on the roster.
And I have no problem with either of them, as everyone's found out watching this show. But if you are against the Big Show thing, I'd imagine your argument would be, hey guys, we have a lot of people we could be doing this with. I don't care. I like the Big Show. I'm looking forward to the fist fight. I just wanted to make clear they are not the same thing. However, they have to be careful with AOP here, right? Because they got 3 big baby faces now. They can't just knock AOP over. That's not good.
I think the Big Show is back in part to put AOP and Seth Rollins over, because they like to use the Big Show as, hey, you conquered this big guy, look how good you are, and that's what you can do with AOP and Rollins.
I think the finish isn't in question for when, I don't have in the fist fight, but eventually AOP is going to get Big Show. But my fear is that they do it in a traditional WWE structure where they bump and feed for it. That could be strange. We just try to avoid that. But I think you're right, and the end game being that's kind of, you can't really dispute that, right? That's a fine idea. Raw, I think Raw's fine at the moment, to be honest. I genuinely think it's fine. Is it gripping? No, but everyone feels to be positioned correctly. That's the biggest thing to me about Raw. Everyone feels like they're in the right spot, and it's moving in some form of direction. That's the biggest positive I could say for it.
Who would you take in a real fist fight between these 6 men?
Well, one member of AOP was in Bellator, right?
Yes. I think
Seth Rollins is a major weak link, I feel, in this fist fight.
Yeah, I don't know if Seth Rollins can scrap.
Man, this could be an ugly fight, man. I mean, I feel like on the babyface side, and yes, I'm still using babyface for a potential legitimate fight. Big Show and Samoa Joe are probably not quite in their physical prime, one more so than the other, I would assume. I don't know how much Kevin wants to be fighting them 2 fellows. That's a tough one, man. I don't know. I'm going to go with Big Show, because his finish is his knockout punch, Jeremy. That's pretty impressive, right?
I think the power of the Big Show gives him the advantage over all of these guys.
Because he's like an outlier on the good side, and Seth's an outlier on the weak side, you see.
Rollins, with some time, I think could have some technique. This is CrossFit Jesus we're talking about.
True,
so
yeah.
He's got the speed and the athleticism to where...
Oh, maybe.
But
maybe Kevin's the weak link. Maybe that's the case.
I think Kevin's scrappy. I think Kevin would go in there with the Philly shell defense and just kind of throw down. Yeah.
like a heavyweight James Toney.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with
Same with Joe. I think Joe seems like he would be a Chuck Liddell type because he's Samoan.
I feel like Joe's a very dangerous man, and we should stop even considering talking about his legitimate fighting skills.
Joe feels like he would take a couple punches to give that one punch.
Get inside,
and knock you out. Yeah. I mean, Arkham has the MMA background. I don't know what Razor's background is, so we might be sleeping on them, honestly.
We might be, yeah. I mean, if we are, it doesn't matter. It means nothing if we are, so I won't worry too much about it. But I agree we could be, yes.
I hope it devolves into an actual shoot fight next week. That's what we need on Raw.
Yeah, imagine if the fist fight was just a legitimate fight.
Yeah.
Heyman was just up front with it and said, look, guys, Brawl for All was controversial if nothing else. Next week, you're going to have a legitimate 6-man fight.
It should bring back the Brawl for All.
They definitely shouldn't, but I support it.
What? You didn't like the Brawl for All?
I question any human that likes the brawl for all. Like, it's great in concept, in like when you think about it as a comedic thing, it's like, oh, that's hilarious. And then you watch the fights and it's like, oh man, this is not good. This is very bad.
Yeah, I'm a fan of bad concepts. Like that. Yeah. That's my gimmick.
Well, yeah, you should love the brawl for all then. Yeah, that's true.
Doomsday Cage match is my favorite match of all time.
Yeah, but that's like, that goes back to so bad it's good. Brawl for all should be so bad it's good, and then you watch the guys throwing punches and stuff, and it's like, I don't know, that's not so bad it's good. That's just real bad, I think.
Our final topic, we're going to talk about this Ember Moon interview that she did with Booker T. And she addressed a lot of things. She talked about the Royal Rumble this year, or 2019 and 2018, and kind of her role in both Rumbles. Talked about her injury, both of them, the elbow injury and the ruptured Achilles. Talked about frustrations with how she was being used. Joe, what did you take away from this interview?
I genuinely thought like the honesty within this interview was staggering, right? Like, I mean, you transcribe a lot of WWE interviews, and you could tell this was not like the standard media appearance. And I think that's because Booker's presence and stuff. But I mean, the main takeaway for me is like her putting into words what we all saw in the Rumble last year, right? Like, I haven't rewatched that match, but I vividly remember Ember like feeding every person that came to the ring. The fact that she did that with like a physical issue is just insane. But that speaks to her like her role in the division, I think. Probably unfairly. That's like we're talking about Pro being the best thing and your weakest thing at the same time. I think Ember will suffer from, she makes everyone look so good. That's not always like great for you, I don't think. But it was a great interview, yeah. I'm sure it was a nice long transcription as well.
This one wasn't that tough to transcribe because she did give so many good answers. Like I listened to like a Tony Khan interview, and that guy's so all over the place, and those are the tough ones to transcribe. But Ember, when she gives, anytime you can get this type of insight from really anybody, I'm a fan of transcribing it. It's when I have to transcribe stuff that's just like generic answers, but I have to do it because there's like a good headline or something like that. I enjoyed the interview. The ruptured Achilles off of a 24/7 title chase segment, that was the big one that stood out to me, and that like everyone ran with, and rightfully so, because like this is how she's basically going to lose a year of her career, is chasing after R-Truth and Carmella, pulling up and then rupturing her Achilles. Like that sucks. Like it's so terrible.
It actually was really sad. There's like a small point in that interview where she says, we do like work injuries and stuff, so I just want to make it clear this is only my second injury. And I just thought, man, it's such a bummer that she must get like people calling her injury prone and stuff. Like she has to actually defend herself for getting injured. Do you know what I mean? Like that's brutal, man. I really hope they don't put that like that rep on her. I really hope so, because I still think that with everything going on in the division, like I think there's a major place for her. Right? I think they just need to get creative. Like, effort-wise, they've been so bad with her. I mean, everyone will say she got the title match with Bayley, but anyone that watched that program knows that was not an attempt to get her over in any way, was it? You know, that was terrible. I seriously hope when she comes back, there's no injury-prone, any of that. I hope it's like straight to, okay, let's try and get this character over. Let's change the character we have to. I never liked the character. I think Ember Moon's most appealing is just like a traditional babyface. The mysterious and mythical stuff isn't. Like, I think that's kind of a tough sell. But I hope she's on track when she gets back. I don't know where you see her like ceiling wise, but to me, I think it's pretty high.
I never understood the character. I was just like, okay, who is Ember? Even in NXT, it's just like, all right.
Oh, NXT was no better. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's like, who is she? She's just, she has creepy eyes and she's kind of mysterious, but what more is there? And it wasn't any better on NXT, main roster, wherever. I think the ceiling's very high for her as well, because she mentioned in the interview, like, she likes to go out there and even if she's losing, like, just do a spot that is memorable. I remember that Lacey Evans match where they did that spot on the floor. It's like some DDT spot.
Yeah.
That was the most memorable spot from that match, and like that's what you took away from it. And Ember does this a lot. And then like she says she's done like thumbtack matches, scaffolds, ladders, all this stuff. Like she's a very talented performer who could be used in multiple ways, but yeah, they've never really gotten behind her. The injury stuff, unfortunately, probably isn't going to help her because that's just how they view things. She's made a lot of comments, and I don't disagree with it, but the women's division has been kind of lacking outside of the focus on the top. I mean, the champions are going to get focused. Everything underneath the champions is just kind of there.
I think it was very interesting when the draft rolled around and you looked at the pool, right, the talent pool, and you're like, okay, if this person goes there, they can work with that person. You do this kind of thing when you're insane and you like wrestling. And the women's division, like the top pool in the women's division is literally the exact same people. Like, and that's, I'm not saying that to be like hyperbolic. I understand Becky's way more over, but the rest is like, well, Bayley is still there in what I consider to be a lesser like presentation. Sasha, Alexa, Charlotte, Asuka. It's like they're all great, but they've not actually been able to push anyone into that spot, have they? Like in that pack. Ember's right, 100% right. But one thing I will say, I know the time just went, but what you were talking about in ring, she still to me has like the best offense of all the women. Like she's one of the only women to me who still has an explosive offense. And her best stuff in NXT came when all of that character stuff was gone, and it was just Shayna's a bully and she's sticking up to the bully. Yep. Sometimes wrestling's better simple, man. It really is,
It really is. We don't need cults and all this other stuff.
Well, hang on now. Calm down. How good was Jim Ross's like little side comment on AEW, by the way, when he was like, a lot of people try to recruit folks on here. Jim, come on, man. You got to at least hide your disdain for this stuff.
Jim's a college football guy. He should take to this recruiting stuff. Like, you got to get that 5-star recruit.
He should approach it in like a really like serious sports style fashion. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've turned the power rankings into now, and accused Jericho of illegal recruiting means. With,
I saw this is very good. This is very good. Did you like that closing segment? Let's quickly touch on this. Did you like the closing segment or no?
A tad long, and
yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was. We kind of figured Moxley wasn't actually going to join, so a little. Not that predictability is a bad thing. I just thought they like tried to milk it a little bit too long. I would have cut 2 minutes or so off of it.
Yeah, it felt like someone had like explained to them that to go longer than they expected to. There was like a middle portion there where the crowd started trying to you sold out, and then they just stopped, and I was like, is the show ending? Are you going to do something?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fine. I thought it was the highlight of that show, other than what we started with, of course, is that I think that's Luther, which is an incredible moment in wrestling history.
Well, hopefully we get Luther at the beach next week. I want to see Luther in the Okada shorts next week, just hanging out at the beach.
Scratch that, Jeremy. I want Luther on the Distraction. Okay, I want him as a full-time third panelist on this show. I don't hold the checkbook, Jeremy. It's nothing to do with me. Okay, that's your job as an executive. I'm just saying.
Let me talk to people above my pay grade and see what we can do to get Luther on the show. He's a busy man right now, Joe. I mean, maybe
I'm sure he is.
Yeah. Joe, where can everyone find you at on social media and elsewhere?
I am on Twitter, for better or worse, at Joe Hulbert 5. That's the number 5, not the. Don't spell it out, please.
When's the first feature coming out?
On Fightful, it will be on the pay-per-view week for the Rumble. So I'm figuring out. You can actually tweet me who you'd like to see me talk about that's on the Rumble card. I probably won't listen, but you can. I assume it will be something Asuka Becky, but that's just spoiler, Jeremy. That's as much as you're getting out of me today, okay? No more.
Fair enough. You can follow me at Jeremy Lambert 88. Everyone sign up to Fightful Select. If you sign up to Fightful Select, you will probably get to read Joe's feature early because they typically go up on Fightful Select early. So if you can't wait, then you should sign up, and you shouldn't wait because Joe is the absolute best when it comes to writing wrestling features, and I'm fortunate enough to just be able to look at them before anybody else when they're on the
I was going to say, look at me. I was going to say, wow, that's incredible.
I am fortunate enough to look at you for an hour every week or so.
Thank you.
we are going to be doing this podcast hopefully weekly, assuming things keep working out and we keep rolling here. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, sign up to FightfulSelect.com. Head over to Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com if you just want your wrestling without the MMA and boxing. But David Tees and Carlos Toro do a great job on those respective sites. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we will talk to you next week.